We just got some very good news and some very crazy news for the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. And actually, guys, the most recent news that's going around in the community is that there's a settlement happening tomorrow. And this was not some crazy, unsubstantiated rumor. You'll see in just a second why a lot of people are convinced that a thing was just flipped out. Again, we're gonna do some dot connecting today, and I guarantee you guys will look at it and be like, So make sure you press that freaking like button, guys, as we have some very interesting news to cover. Now, first of all, it should be addressed that whenever I speak about Gary Gensler or Sam Bankman-Fried or William Hinman, I'm always alleging things. I cannot state that they have done anything illegal necessarily or anything criminal in that sense, but I personally still think they deserve jail. I really want that to be clear. I personally think Gary Gensler and Sam Bankman-Fried deserve to be in jail for the actions that they've done. Will it happen? Doubtably so. Do I think they should? Yeah. You know what? I wanted to spin this video through a little bit more of a negative direction, but I don't think I should. Let me just quickly cover some of the most amazing things that have come out, plus again that settlement expectation of tomorrow. And then in a later video today or tomorrow, I'll cover all these negative thoughts. But let's just keep things cool today, as seriously, things that have come out are very exciting in a good way. So first of all, here is the final list of the Friends of the Court. Basically, people that decided to help out the court in some way, shape, or form, both on Ripple's side and the SEC's side. That has now become interesting because about an hour ago, again, this list has just been published about 20 minutes ago. About an hour ago, the judge has granted motions to file amnesty briefs. By November 18th, so within a couple of days, the association, 6 XRP holders, Coinbase, the CCI, Valil, Cryptillion, VeriDAO, Reaper, Financial, InvestReady, NSEI, and Paradigm must file their formal brief. So again, within about 3 to 4 days from now, we're going to get some massive flood of appropriate amnesty briefs where all these guys basically joined the court, of which 13 on Ripple's side, potentially kind of 13 and a half, and about 2 on the SEC side. And this is going to be hopefully a very big slam to the SEC. And mostly to their policy, which again has been crooked. Now again, being crooked, we talked about it for a little while, and I believe BitBoy is also going pretty crazy about the whole situation of the SEC and, well, a lot of lawyers and what they've been doing in terms of crazy shenanigans. Again, I don't want to focus on the SBF FTX drama today, even though there's a lot of stuff still left to be uncovered with, for example, what Gary Gensler has done behind the closed doors, behind the screens, and how he connects into all of it. I personally still think an investigation into him would just be the start, but would definitely not be enough, as again, I personally think he might very well deserve jail for a lot of the crazy things which he's done. Now, again, guys, make sure you press that like button, but let's watch this video, all right? Let's watch this video. You guys will get a good understanding of why I am so mesmerized by the crypto space still. So let's quickly watch this.
Offering. This is a separate case, but your thoughts on whether any of this has the potential to take down other markets like the stock market?
Absolutely, Maria. Well, it goes to your first point. When contagion happens, it's because everything is cross-collateralized and the system at large based on credit is so fragile. So we do see Bitcoin drawing down, and we can see other assets drawing down as people liquidate in order to cover cover their margins.
Just quickly, so you guys can all see it right here at the bottom. You guys can see it, it's standing right there, right? SEC versus Ripple settlement expected tomorrow.
And they're shorts. And so I think what's important to know about the SEC and Ripple, and it'll be interesting to see what the verdict will be, is that the SEC charged Ripple with violating securities law and argues that it passes the Howey test. It says that it's a common enterprise, an investment contract, and a common enterprise. And the big thing I want people to remember, no matter what happens tomorrow, is right now you can go to Twitter or Google and you can find Ripple's CEO. And Ripple is the largest holder of its own token.
Now, I should also add, I can't necessarily state that this was a very good conversation between the two of them. But again, Moon Lambo said, apparently this morning, Fox Business reported that settlement is expected in the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit tomorrow. Multiple people in the XP community shared screen grabs with the news in the banner, so probably not fake. However, this is probably still incorrect news. And actually, digital asset investors shared it as well. Must watch now. I realize Eleanor Tourette and Charles Gasparino have said this expected settlement between the SEC and Ripple is false. But there is a larger point being overlooked. This is the entire clip. 1, there is no way this is an accident, and 2, this is designed hit piece on Ripple, as the majority of it was not that nice. Again, if you watch the video yourself, you'll notice she's definitely not that nice on Ripple. She basically says you shouldn't trust your funds with a CEO. What? Yeah, I had to watch it again and again and again to kind of understand. She basically says if they had an ICO, a pre-mine, if it's not Bitcoin, yeah, or a foundation or a company or an ICO or basically anything, she stupidly says you're trusting your life savings to a CEO. What? Remember, Mornings Maria has never covered ETHgate. Watch the entire clip. This is an intentional attempt to draw a comparison of Ripple to FTX. It does indeed look that way. FTX Nat Brunell owes people an explanation. There's a huge difference between slipping and saying settlement and what was said right here. A lot of this stuff does not really make a whole lot of sense, and indeed it does look as if they're showing the FTX filing for bankruptcy, all that stuff, the negativity. That's why I said in this video, regarding XRP, Ripple, and the FTX drama, I don't want to associate them too much because that's been done too many times. Because it's mostly because they both revolve around the SEC, right? But the way in which they've drawn it right here, it's mostly just a little bit of a hit piece on Ripple, which is strange. However, it is quite exciting. There were a couple other things which happened today. For example, Brad Garlinghouse this is actually yesterday already, went on a live Spaces, and I was actually there listening as well, where he was asked a couple of tough questions about, for example, transparency. And honestly, the main reason that I always like when Brad has to talk about transparency is that it all kind of comes back down to one basis. Ripple is a properly regulated company in the US. However, a lot of the things which they disclose to the public, well, since they're a private company, don't have to be disclosed. And many people look at Ripple and say, hey, what would you have done if you were based in a or in a jurisdiction like, for example, FTX, where you don't have to report everything? Would you still do it? Are you doing it because you have to or because you want to be transparent, or is it both? And Ripple basically replied, rightfully so, by saying, well, a lot of the stuff that we're doing in bit of transparency, similarly to Binance, doesn't have to be done. It's just what we think is the right way to do it. And I honestly think because of Ripple's approach and because of the battle that they've been fighting with the SEC and because of all this coverage linking FTX and the SEC versus Ripple case together, people are starting to notice how literally Ripple is being treated like shit if you compare it to, for example, how Sam Bankman-Fried has been treated, but also just how important crypto regulation is going to be. And the fact that if you let it up to the regulators, there's a good chance that things will go wrong because apparently those regulators have not been doing a good job, and we've seen that time and time again. Them connecting the dots, I personally think is quite bullish because it's going to make people guess twice. Again, guys, Coinbase has now officially joined the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. The judge has approved it. They're going to be writing their official memo, their official little piece that they want to help the judge with, which is mostly a supportive argument for Ripple. They're basically helping out by stating that the way that the SEC has been doing things has been kind of odd. And I honestly think that with the most recent information regarding the SEC's Gary Gensler and how it connects back to FTX, it's drawing so many different eyes on the XRP Ripple lawsuit. Even John Dean right now is going absolutely wild. Take a look at this. For example, he launched a new little piece for the Connect to Congress app. Nearly 4,000 messages have been sent through our Connect to Congress app so far from US residents demanding an investigation of Gary Gensler's actions in the FTX fraud. Again, I don't want to go too deep into this. I'll do that later tomorrow. I just want to briefly say that things are moving really freaking well. And again, then John Dean is kind of going on the Elon Musk train by saying, hey, Elon, maybe take a look at this because the SEC has been doing some really crazy shenanigans. And again, because it all connects back to FTX, that's becoming a lot more, I'd say, of a probability that he'd actually join and potentially help out or at least care. Because nobody wants a situation like this again. You can see Gary Gensler right now is freaking trending over on Twitter with 15,000 tweets. People are talking about it. People are talking about it. People are talking about it. I think FTX needs to be investigated more thoroughly, but I guess they can't really be investigated more thoroughly. I just want to know exactly what type of connection they had with these regulators and what part of the whole Ukraine situation or the hack situation is true? Did Sam Bankman-Fried's connections help him run this quote-unquote Ponzi scheme? And just questions like that we need to have answered. However, the most important thing that I would like to get some answers on is, how does Gary Gensler play in all of this? And what are the effects of that going to be on the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit when it turns out that Gary Gensler did some shady stuff in the whole FTX debacle? Again, we're going to talk about it later, so do not worry. I'm going to figure every single piece out as far as it is available on the interwebs, and I'll share it with you guys, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel for further updates. And make sure you press the like button. See you guys again in another crypto video, hopefully. Ooh, my mouse has stopped working, but yeah, hopefully later today, guys.